So before a home is ever built, long before concrete is poured or walls go up, something much more important must happen. A series of decisions need to be made about light, proportion, flow, and how a person and a family will live inside that home every day. Now, I'm a carpenter and a builder by trade, but for many years I led the design department at Sustainable Homes Melbourne, working closely with our architecture team and our clients to shape the custom homes that they would live in for many, many decades. And so this conversation isn't about trends or styling. It's about the architectural decisions that shape daily life, the small, the often invisible ideas that make a home work beautifully over time. So today I want to walk you through 7 design ideas that quietly shape how a home feels to live in, often long before anybody notices them. Number 1 is how to turn your kitchen from chaos to calm. Kitchens in our modern age, the heartbeat of our homes. It's where we get the kids ready for school. It's where our kids do their homework. It's where we eat breakfast, lunch, but potentially even dinner. And of course, it's where we entertain many guests. So one great idea that we've incorporated to many of our designs is connecting the kitchen with a serviceable laundry. And the intention of that serviceable laundry is it doubles up as a butler's pantry, where you can have a secondary sink. And of course, that'd be a larger sink where you can wash your pots and pans. If you're entertaining of an evening, you don't want to clean up the mess that night because you're too busy enjoying yourself. Put it all in your serviceable laundry, shut the sliding door, and forget about it till the next day. Another way a laundry can triple up as a utility space is if it's connected to an entry. Say, potentially it's not your front door entry where guests would walk through, but potentially it's a family or private sort of entry. Connected to that entry, and it can act as a mudroom where kids can take their dirty boots off, dirty laundry, comes off after school, after sports. A closet in there can keep everything in its place and out of the way. Another tip with a kitchen is that in our modern age, open plan has become the thing. But full open plan can mean noise and mix up of spaces and conflicting activities within a larger zone. So open space is great, but not fully open space. We do want to be able to use our kitchen as another type of living zone, which we ultimately do. So we don't want it completely part of our primary living zone. So simple ways to cordon that off is, you could cordon it off fully with sliding doors. You could, of course, just use simple screening or even a nib wall, lowered ceiling, which I'll go into later, but just defining the space as a separate zone from other spaces around it. And number 2 is the entry experience. Now, arriving to your home matters. I'm sure we've all heard the saying, leave your worries at the door because they're not going anywhere. And that's what our home should be. Our home should be a separation between the wild outside world that we live in, our daily life of work and chaos, and it should be a respite from the rest of the world. So rather than bringing our simple things, like a lot of it is psychological, but bringing our car keys, our jackets into the home and laying them on a couch or on the kitchen bench, of course, but leaving them at the door in a designated spot can just create a great separation where you can come home and enjoy the other spaces within your home. An entry can be a great transition from the outside world, the outside chaotic world, into your peaceful and calm, healthy and energy efficient home. And number 3 is very underrated, and it might seem like a funny term, but incorporate human-sized rooms into your home. Now, this is a sure way to get the most of every inch of your home. And what I mean by human-sized rooms, I'm talking study nooks, window seats, even, again, your kitchen island bench. That can be a zone for one person alone or multiple people alone. But the idea is that we're not building just big homes that much of the space doesn't get used. We're building really considerate homes that use every inch of the space. And if you've got a window seat in a beautiful location, say facing north or east, it can be a beautiful spot to read a book or just decompress from a day while the rest of your family are enjoying other parts of the home. So a well-designed home feels richer and fuller than needing to be just large and what I would say is dumb. Following along on the same sort of pursuit is dual purpose circulation, maybe a fancy word for hallways. Hallways can be the biggest waste of spaces in homes, and of course they were very popular in the Victorian era. We'd have a hallway down the centre of a home and rooms off each. But we've gotten more clever with our homes. The better we can incorporate hallways into active spaces, we call that again a study nook, or a place where we can place joinery or bookshelves, or a zone that can act as a buffer from outside weather. A home we built many years ago now had 2 kids' rooms at the rear and hallway along the northern side, and it was somewhat exposed. We had a nice eave overhang that removed the penetration of the summer sun but allowed that winter sun to come in, and it did have a window seat there, so it would have been a lovely spot for anybody to sit and play, kids to do their homework. And each of those kids' rooms was just back from the hallway, so when it was in, of course, in summer, there's a buffer zone there. So imagining that the outside temperature is called 35 degrees, inside that hallway might be 24, 27, and inside that room, again, we've got insulated internal walls, would be even lower again, say around the 20 degrees. That works incredibly well, and each of these rooms also had a north-facing window so they could capture that light coming through from the northern side. Ultimately, it's about making homes, every space, every square inch of your home, work harder and be purposeful. We don't want wasted spaces in our homes, especially due to construction prices just escalating further and further. And number 5 is storage designed into structure, not added later. And we're big on designing your master plan for whenever that may be. If you can execute your master plan in the first go, the year that we're building the home, great. But if you need longer, to add joinery as you go, you want to thoughtfully think about it during design. We want to get the design right because our homes are going to be there for a very, very long time. So when storage isn't well considered and we're just adding storage facilities or furniture to a home, it becomes furniture and can clutter a home. And clutter just grows, as we know, and can just look out of place. So we want to integrate storage into our walls, clever joinery underneath stairs, into the structure as best as we can. And appropriately placed joinery and wardrobe and storage space can also buffer again from the external elements. Of course, we've got a really good wall system, but then say we've got a west wall and be a really appropriate place to put storage unit. Again, where it is a form of insulation protecting you from the outside. Especially if you've got a big robe across there, you got clothes in there, of course that's going to protect the home within from that harsh western sun. So thinking about storage early is really important. It just enables a home to feel less cluttered, calmer, quieter, and again more generous and really well considered. And number 6 is incorporating a courtyard or a light well, especially for tight sites. We had a client many years ago with a very tight site that really didn't want an internal courtyard. We were dead against it, and in the end we ended up parting ways because we weren't the appropriate person to work for them in producing the home that they wanted. You'll notice if you're in a home, you'll always turn towards the light. You'll put your back to a wall and you'll turn towards the outside. And there's no better way to bring the outside in than through internal courtyards, especially for terrace homes. Our architect, David Nicholson, likes to call the internal courtyard the room you don't pay for. It can work incredibly well on a day, on a nice summer or spring day, 24 degrees plus. You can just have those doors or windows completely open, just bringing the outside in. Bringing the outside in is probably the biggest complaint of the clients that we get prior to us working with them. The biggest wishes of clients that come to us are indoor-outdoor connection and storage. And I think these last 2 points have really nailed that. So designing a home around an internal courtyard can make even the most compact homes feel open, connected, and calm. So number 7 is use ceiling height to define spaces within your home. And many homes just have one continuous ceiling height, which can feel really hard and solid and sort of lack warmth. But varying ceiling height within a home can really define a space. Whether you are lowering the ceiling height over a dining table can create a really intimate setting. Of course, you could do the same over a lounge or even your kitchen. And of course, where a space is more entertaining, leading toward outside, you might have a more generous ceiling height. Of course, it comes back to the old technique of Frank Lloyd Wright with that expansion and contraction. Rather than just have one simple, dull, flat space, that variation of height and volume can create really interesting and meaningful spaces and make a home feel really crafted for its purpose. None of these ideas should be considered in isolation. They're about intention and thinking more deeply about your daily patterns and cadence. Because if there's one thing I've learned from years of designing and building homes, it's this. The most important decisions are those that are unique to you. They're not always visible in a photo and they're not always obvious in a floor plan, but they quietly determine how a home feels and responds to you, how it holds heat, how it manages sound, how it absorbs the mess of daily life, and how it welcomes you at the end of a long day. Good design isn't about more space. It's about considered thinking. When design is thoughtful, sustainability flows naturally. Comfort improves, costs become more controlled, and the home begins to support you rather than work against you. That's really what this conversation is about. Not trends or styling, but understanding the decisions that shape your everyday life. And if you start noticing those decisions in your home, the thresholds, the proportions, the quiet corners, then you're already thinking differently. Thanks for listening. This is House of Meaning. Until next time.